Start with your genre of choice. Add your antagonist, conscience-free preferred. Stir in your hero, relentless but over their head. Season both with smarts.
You are most troublesome for a security guard.
Sorry, Hans, wrong guess.
Add conflict. This is your main ingredient, so don't be stingy.
I see you standing over the grave of another dead president.
That's not gonna happen. I'm on to you.
Allow your villain to gain the upper hand. Let your hero retake the upper hand. And repeat. And repeat. And repeat. And repeat. Stir in a clever set piece or two and you've got it. The cat and mouse film. While nearly identical in structure, these films are as unique from each other as the characters who drive them. Whether the opposing forces are good against evil, the law in pursuit of the outlaw, sinister forces marshaling against the innocent, or the wronged chasing down their wrongdoer. These films give moviegoers a front row seat to an intimate conflict.
For Christ's sake, Andrew, you're talking of a murder!
And despite the number of clever action beats, the cat and mouse subgenre is primarily driven by a battle of wits, as hero and villain grapple to take the advantage from the other. Even as our hero remains at a disadvantage, these films create enormous suspense by keeping hero and villain equally resourceful, making the outcome of their conflict uncertain until the final scene. This brings us to today's rave review recommendation. A film that features a battle of wits so intense, it spans 86 years and 2 continents without aging hero or villain a day. It's a film that combines the tension of an English drawing room drama with the brutal intensity of a classic American thriller. Add in some science fiction, a generous dose of humor and heart, and you've got the cat and mouse classic, time after time. Before racing into the future, the film opens on the streets of 1883 England as an unsuspecting Whitechapel prostitute introduces herself and the audience to none other than history's notorious serial killer, Jack the Ripper. Across town, a dinner party is being hosted by a very different historical figure, the acclaimed science fiction author H.G. Wells. Actor Malcolm McDowell plays Wells as a gentle soul of fierce intelligence and boundless optimism.
Dr. Stevenson is here, Mr. Wells.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Turner.
Actor David Werner plays Wells' friend and frequent chess opponent, Dr. Leslie Stevenson.
You're only just in time for the big surprise. Isn't he, H.G.? The great big whatever it is.
Gentlemen, I am talking about traveling through time in a machine constructed for that very purpose. What?
One of the charms of the film is how writer-director Nicholas Meyer has imagined the scope and limitations of Wells' impossible invention.
The machine is designed with several safety features. The reversal rotation lock automatically returns the machine to its starting date after the completion of a voyage. If the occupant is injured during the course of a flight, the passenger is returned to the point of departure. Unless he uses this key to countermand the device.
Despite his reticence, Wells looks forward to the journey, convinced the future will be a utopia free of poverty, sexism, and war.
Really, you astonish me, H.G. In the midst of all your theorizing, you managed to ignore the facts.
The evidence of human history is that we live in a cosmic charnel house. Mankind has not changed for 2,000 years. We hunt, we're hunted. That's how it is. That's how it shall always be.
The future will prove you wrong.
The future will tell.
Reality soon intrudes on Wells and his party as the police conduct a door-to-door search for the Ripper.
I think you better have a look at this, sir.
The discovery of the doctor's bloody bag leaves no doubt to the Ripper's identity. To everyone's dismay, Dr. Stevenson has escaped justice, disappearing into thin air.
I wonder where he got to so fast the coppers couldn't find him. And we were by the front door the whole time.
The film kicks into full gear as Wells' worst fear is realized. With the invention's key in his pocket, the time machine returns to its point of origin, leaving Wells no choice but to pursue his sinister friend into the future. And while the film's special effects will undoubtedly feel dated by today's standards, there's no denying the excitement that builds as the mild-mannered Wells travels through space and time to confront London's most dangerous killer. Time After Time is that rare film where the lead character travels from the past to the future in a machine of their own design. But Nicholas Meyer's feature film is not the first film to do this. I'll name another film that does this and the multiple connections it has to this film in a moment. But first, back to our story.
Hey, you. Get away from that exhibit. Where do you think you are? Disneyland?
Having successfully made the leap into the future, Wells finds himself in a museum in present-day San Francisco, 1979, which is our past, but was the present at the time of the film's release. You know, he's moving forward, and that's the future for him, because the math works. You know, he's in the past, the future, just go with it. Wells is a fish out of water, and if he's going to survive long enough to catch the Ripper, he's going to have to trade in some of that old money and jewelry he brought with him for cash. Fortunately, he finds an ally in bank officer Amy, played here by the charming Mary Steenburgen.
I'm looking for a man, another Englishman like me, who may have tried to exchange some money here.
I'll say.
Then he was here?
Wells manages to track down his old friend, but Stevenson has no intention of going back.
I belong here completely and utterly.
"90 years ago, I was a freak. Today, I'm an amateur."
With Stevenson's escape, a cat-and-mouse game between our heroes and the Ripper is set in motion. Along the way, the film finds time for a romance between the 19th century Wells and Amy, a contemporary woman whose views on dating take Wells some getting used to.
Are you quite certain I'm not forcing you to do anything that you'll regret?
Forcing me? My God, Herbert, I'm practically raping you.
Considering how well this film works, it's hard to believe that at the time Myers pitched it to Warner Brothers, the studio considered it quite a gamble. Since the late 60s, Hollywood started moving away from the operatic melodramas that were once its stock in trade.
Exactly how do you mean?
In those 2 decades leading up to Time After Time's release, a new generation of young Turks were producing films with small, more intimate subject matter, and presenting these films with a greater sense of realism.
God, are you square?
Fighting studio objections, Myers wanted to go in the opposite direction, convinced late 70s audiences would enjoy an old-school Hollywood thriller. Additionally, Myers had to fight for Hollywood's golden age composer, Miklós Rózsa. Rózsa was well known for his scores to epic films like Ben-Hur, El Cid, and Knights of the Round Table. With his grand orchestrations and tempestuous themes, Rózsa's style was at odds with the minimalist work that was being done by most composers at the time. The studio fought Myers, fearing Rózsa's style had fallen out of fashion. In the end, the studio relented and Rózsa was hired. Myers' instincts would be proven right at Time After Time's first test screening. When Rózsa's old-school score filled that room and Warner Brothers' retired crest rushed onto the screen, the audience cheered and applauded wildly. From that very first shot on, the film played big, getting huge laughs, audible gasps, and a round of enthusiastic applause at the end. The film is rated PG for mild language, some gruesome images, and a healthy dose of implied violence.
Only a movie.
Rave Review's Buried Treasure Meter is a ranking system from 1 to 5, indicating how easy or difficult it is to track down the film that we're discussing, with 1 being the easiest and 5 being the most difficult. On the Buried Treasure Meter, Time After Time ranks a 2 out of 5. Now, it's not the easiest film to find at most major retailers. I've seen it, but only occasionally. But like most of the films reviewed here, you can find Time After Time online inexpensively for streaming or purchase as of this posting.
We must add detective to your list of accomplishments.
If you enjoy H.G. Wells and his unique machine in Time After Time, You can revisit both in George Pal's 1960 film, The Time Machine.
For my part, I intend taking a journey into the future.
Like today's spoiler-free recommendation, The Time Machine features actor Rod Taylor as H.G. Wells traveling from the past to the future in a machine of his own design. In a story inspired by the novel of the same name, written by the real H.G. himself. And the cat and mouse chase doesn't have to end with time after time.
Damn straight.
Track down Farley Granger and Robert Walker in Alfred Hitchcock's timeless thriller,
It's so simple, too.
Strangers on a Train.
Each fellow does the other fellow's murder, then there's nothing to connect them.
The edge-of-your-seat story of a chance meeting
Why, you maniac!
that escalates into a deadly, inescapable game
I've decided to do what you want.
of cat and mouse. Or ride along with Jodie Foster's FBI newbie in Silence of the Lambs, as she hunts down a serial killer
You don't know what pain is!
Got a real taste for it now. He's getting better at his work.
with the help of Anthony Hopkins' flesh-eating, scene-stealing sociopath,
If I help you, Clarice, it will be quid pro quo. I tell you things, you tell me things.
Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal the cannibal.
A villain more cunning
What did you see, Clarice? What did you see?
and unpredictable than the killer she's pursuing.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Today we traveled with H.G. Wells and his amazing machine in Time After Time. But if time is not a luxury in your life, check out my short-form companion series, The Skinny on the Good Stuff, where movie recommendations are shorter than 5 minutes each.
It is, of course, the greatest pleasure they will ever experience.
And if you've enjoyed our time together, I've got great news. There's a lot more content coming down the pike. While I'm working on that, think about sharing this channel with your movie buddy. We all got one. Let's give them a chance to be a part of this conversation by joining us on this channel. Until the next episode, I'm Mr. Kurt.
That man is crazy. I could see it in his face.
And you just got a rave review.